Gotta set up my chat. Okay. So Magiform just hit 1 million views on Webtoon. So I'm just... That is not what I wanted to do. Counterclockwise. There we go. Yeah, I'm just going to be clearing up and coloring this little drawing. Let's carve it around here. That's kind of full page, so. Let's put them a little bit closer to the center. There we go. And I'm thinking they should probably go a bit down as well. So yeah, I've been streaming a lot this month. This is my first stream as a Twitch affiliate, so that's pretty good. It's kind of cool. I only started streaming at the start of the month, so it's pretty fast. Thanks, Turkey. Alright, so the next thing I usually do here, help save. I save religiously. I'll just use the threshold adjustment, and usually I like to zoom in to make sure everything's fine. Make sure the lines are turning out like I want them to. So we'll just redo that. I'll be zooming in and fixing stuff as I go along, so anything that I miss, it'll be fixed. But yeah, this can totally be the Q&A stream 2.0. If you have any questions about Magiform, you're welcome to ask them. I really didn't plan any content other than coloring this. I keep saying I need a playlist for the stream, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. Sorry, this is a scanned drawing, so I just took the actual page out of the scanner so I can look at it while I'm working. You know, 1 million views on Magiform is kind of mind-boggling for me. It's gotten a lot more views than I expected. And followers too. At the rate that the comic is going, I'm expecting it to be over in like maybe a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. Thinking maybe a bunch of these black dots are eraser marks that I missed. Hey, Forrest. How are things doing in the chat? You guys having a good day? That's good to know. Yeah, after I'm done with this, I've got some other things I need to work on that I can't really stream. I gotta color some actual pages. Also got some contract work that I need to get to. You know, something short and sweet this afternoon. Just felt nice. This is always kind of a long part of the process, especially when the cats are in the forest. A lot of lines there. Oh, should have colored this. Oh, hey, Lemon Drop. What's up, amigos, to you? ¿Cómo estás? Yeah, that S did not come out well. Yo también. Yeah, I've been learning Spanish on Duolingo, and I'm trying my best. I'm starting to understand songs now, so it's good. One thing that's given me trouble is anything with the double R and verbs in general. Spanish is a fun language to learn because the rules make sense, just in terms of how everything is spelled. My first language is French. I only know all the rules because I read too much as a kid. So they're in my brain, forever engraved. But with Spanish, you pronounce everything. I'm back at it again, drawing some cats. That's my life. You sent me a funny thing about Charles Darwin. Okay. Is it something that I can express with my voice on the chat, or is it something that's only going to work if it's visual? I can't see the chat right now. I'm trying to see what you sent me. Is it just a diary entry that... I love hearing about old diary entries from historical figures, because sometimes they'll just express things that are not the way they are now at all, but also sometimes it'll be way too relatable. For a short while in the Hamilton fandom, there were people who'd taken it upon themselves to read Aaron Burr's diary from, I forget which year, but it was after the events of Hamilton. And there were memes about it. Apparently he made a big deal out of losing his umbrella. Okay. It's a bit long, I'll read it later, but... I do like the quote, but I am very poorly today and very stupid and hate everybody and everything. Thanks, Charles Darwin. Sometimes I feel that way too. We all do. I remember starting Aaron Burr's diary or journal. Journal's manlier. There's a passage where he's like, I need to cut sugar out of my diet, so I've gradually started to put less in my tea. And then the next day it cuts to like, I've decided to quit sugar cold turkey because doing anything gradually is a folly. And I don't know why that's so funny. It wasn't one of the parts that was being memed, and possibly because there were funnier parts near the end, and I only read like the first couple days. Hey, bonjour, Canada. Moi aussi, je suis dans Canada. Oh, thanks, Chaos Dreamer. I'm glad you like the comic. Oh yeah, I'm also in Canada. The other day, the 15th of August, was actually National Acadian Day. Acadian, not Canadian, we get that. I had a stream for that, because there's this obscure comic, well, obscure I say. If you talk to anyone in southeast New Brunswick, and just New Brunswick in general, they will know who that character is. His name is Acadiman, and he's a bit of a meme. Endo's doing a little bit of a blip. I'm glad that people have warmed up to Endo, because I'll be honest, he's probably one of the characters that I'm the most attached to, because... Okay, so Tampa Carosa's original story did not last long. The original Magiform did not last long. I maybe played around with these characters for like a couple weeks to a month, and then proceeded to not do anything with them until I rebooted the entire story from scratch. Endo comes from a story that I worked on for like nearly 2 years. It was very different. And well, we'll see that whenever I decide to make the concept art episode. So his personality changed a lot, but he essentially had the same design. When I did the first character popularity poll, Endo ranked last, and I think part of it is because that was the chapter right after he'd been introduced, and he only had a bit of a scene, not much. He was still very much a new part of the comic, but I don't know, Rex ranked higher than him. Didn't expect people to like Rex that much. But no, like all the recent comments on that post that are too late because the popularity poll is over. All the recent comments, they all vote for Endo, so I don't know, maybe he got his fan club a bit later than the rest. Good for him. Rex is a good boy. He is! Well, no. He's too rough when playing chase. Also, he's costing Endo's company money because he's on a leave of absence. Actually, no, that's not a bad thing to do. Use your leave of absences if you can. He's working on it? Yeah, he's working on it. But on Webtoon, Samson just got introduced. So, he's the new boy. He's coming in all thundering. Half Dalmatian, half horse. Yeah, Samson's Magiform is a horse. And I realized a little bit too late that since he's a spotted animal, I could have made him a giraffe. But by that point, it was already inked. I am glad of how the colors turned out for him, though. A lot of times, the colors for a character are going to get decided when I actually have to draw them on the paper. This is a case of do as I say, not as I do. Do your color sheets. Whenever you're designing characters, you don't always have to color them the exact same color, but just a base thing would be useful before you draw all the pages and then realize, oh no, I'm going to have to color this character this way the entire time. I wonder if I could use some of this footage and do a speed paint. It would be a little bit complicated for me to post that, because I'd need to scan it, and then I need to put it in Photoshop. I'm not actually capturing, like, the thing you see on the stream isn't my monitor capture, just like as is. It's capturing Photoshop, and it's capturing the Twitch chat. So what I'm seeing right now is just Photoshop, but on the live stream, it's capturing the other chat window. I'm actually following the chat by looking at my phone. But if you must know that, for the rest of the chat, the drawing is just me realizing that I could have made Samson a giraffe. And then it is followed by a panel of despair. I'm gonna post it on Twitter once the Tapas page comes out tomorrow. Because Tapas is still running on the schedule of the Tuesday and Friday. So it catches up to the Webtoon episodes whenever Tuesday rolls around, and I just like to do the promo when both have updated. I know once the Tapas episode comes out tomorrow, I'm posting that comic. Any tips for making a comic? Just in general, or do you have anything specific in mind? Because just in general, I would say page composition and storytelling is a must to consider when you're working on comics. You don't need great art, you don't need great dialogue, you need your story to flow good. And even then, you've got different comics that are just that thrive on being non sequiturs, and then you basically depend on page composition, just the way things are arranged and how your eye moves around the page. So storytelling would be making it clear what your characters are doing. It's just very important that every panel, unless your intent is to make things unclear, you need to make sure everyone knows what's happening in the panel. The Magiform has a lot of panels where there's no dialogue, and that's because I try to emphasize action over dialogue, and that's actually a bit of a problem that I have, because I would like it if I could fit more dialogue in other places. But no, with the page flow, usually, okay, let's make ourselves a little fake comic page here. So you got your little stick person, got some hammer pants, and let's say they're whatever, they're dancing with someone else. So this person is pointing to the right. So this leads your eye to the next panel, and oh no, I guess that person is sad while dancing. This is an emotional song. So I don't know, little music notes. They're dancing. Maybe the person on the right is leading the dances somewhere like the person on the left doesn't really wanna, and they're just kind of looking off in the distance. And be like, oh no, I don't really want to do this. So this actually leads us downward and to the left here. Let's say I want to emphasize oh no, they broke contact, and maybe the other person is like, oh no, but like this is a big deal, this is a big emotional thing that's happening. This is a big impact, so this deserves a big panel. And oh wow, look what I did there. Bam, bam. So this is gonna lead your eye to this part, and so this tells me that the focal point would probably have to be here. Uncomfortable person is leaving out the door and is goodbye. So see, we just made this little random comic page out of complete nonsense, and there's a story here. So that's That's the big important part of making a comic. You gotta make sure everything is clear. Even if you're drawing with an oversized pencil brush in Photoshop, and everything's coming out, like, all blended together. Another thing that's important in comics is that you have a punchline. Oh, yikes. So you have the punchline on every page. This doesn't have to be a joke punchline. It just means that you have something like a big punch on the page. This could be a big dramatic moment, like that panel where the two dancers break apart. That's supposed to be a big deal. Maybe left dancer forgot they left the oven on. It's like, oh, that's why I was so concerned while we were dancing. I didn't want my house to catch on fire. One thing with webcomics specifically is that episodes can be short sometimes. Especially with Tapas, as of now, I'm uploading 2 pages a week, but it's one at a time. So I gotta make sure that every page can stand on its own. Doesn't necessarily mean that every page has a complete story, it just means that people would know what's going on just by looking at the page. And if that's if that's someone's first Magiform page, I have a better chance of someone reading the rest of the comic if they're like, oh, I see what this story's about, I can kind of dig that, I can check out the rest of the comic. Now, obviously, this doesn't need to apply to every page, but especially when you're working on webcomics, where it's 1 page at a time a lot of the times, you want to keep that in mind. Another layer that I have now is that I upload 2 pages at once on Webtoon. It's in a scroll format, but it's the equivalent of 2 pages. So now I've got to keep in mind which page would be the better cliffhanger. But I don't really think of that during the thumbnailing stage. It's more about making every page count. It would be a different story making a graphic novel or a comic issue where everything is on the same page, but, you know, it still helps to make every page sort of dramatic. That's what keeps the person reading. If you want to know more about comic theory, there's a lot of good resources online. There's also a book by Scott McCloud. I forget what it's called, and I feel like I'm revoking my comics maker card just by saying that. It's maybe called Making Comics, but I may be wrong. But no, that's got a lot of good tips. He breaks down even why sometimes making cartoony characters makes more sense than doing realistic ones, because it's easier to identify them, to put yourself in their place. Like, the most basic you can make a character sometimes that can work as making them like immediately recognizable. It's like silhouettes. You can recognize Popeye from any single place he's looking at. I've never drawn Popeye before, but I know what he looks like. Look at this. This is Popeye. Do I have to copyright the webtoon? I haven't. I'm not an expert on that, sadly. And I really should get more informed about it, because I'm working on this. last I heard in Canada at least, you you get copyright to your work kind of automatically. You don't have to claim it. But I really don't know. Don't take my word for that. I haven't run into anyone reposting it, reposting anything about Magiform or trying to steal the idea. And even then, it's just cats with superpowers, so it's not entirely original. If you're concerned about copyright and stuff in terms of getting your thing stolen, I haven't run into that yet, so I wouldn't know. If you're talking about making a fan comic, that you could get in trouble for. If like I wouldn't think anyone would get sued right off the bat, but I know Webtoon. Even though there are a lot of fan comics on Webtoon, technically they don't allow them. What's your example? What's your other example, Lemon Drop? But yeah, one thing I also want to say is, oh, you'll be back soon. Okay. Well, let's just go for the rest of the stream. Every piece of art advice that you get, unless you're in a class and you're listening to your teacher, you should take with a grain of salt. That doesn't mean not trying to obey any of the, well, not obey. It doesn't mean don't take any tips at all. It just means you can try them out if you want, but not every single art tip is going to be for everyone. A big discourse that I see often is just how to draw hands. And the thing is, hands are a hard part of being an artist. Why do you think I draw a lot of things with cats? Well, that's kind of a lie. I draw a lot of human characters whenever I'm not doing this comic. Also, there's a graphic novel I pitched at one point that's mostly about human characters. What was I gonna say? I was talking about cats. Okay, yeah, the discourse. It's just, I hate to be in that camp, but sometimes things just come out to style. Like, you may draw those hands because of the style, but that doesn't mean you should use it as an excuse for everything. You need... I'd say the one universal rule that everyone should follow would be look at everything around you and try to visualize every shape. Just constantly study things around you. Study objects, study animals. Even if you're not drawing them down right away, just try to really see how they work. You can do studies of that later. Oh, thanks, Lemurdrop. It comes with an ungodly amount of practice every single day. Every single ding dang day. I think today is going to be 720 for the daily character design challenge. I should clarify that it's days doing this, not the amount of characters that I've made, because some days I do more than one. The reason why a lot of them are simple, though, is that, well, especially recently, is that I end up doing it at the end of the day, because in my brain it's like, oh, it's already done, because I know I'm going to do it. But then suddenly it's midnight, and I want to go to bed. So I guess it comes back, do what works for you. See, with that, I draw every day, because that's the way I like to do it. I like working on art. It's my main hobby. You should have other hobbies just to avoid burnout. I play video games a lot too. And I watch TV, but I do really love doing art. So I do it every day, and it works for me. If it doesn't for you, just find a pace that works and try to work with it. Don't be afraid to push yourself, but obviously don't do it too hard. There was a student I knew in art school that took a little while with their pieces. It took it took a while to get them done. So they got allowed they got some allowed extra time to finish their pieces. And when they're done, they're gorgeous. We had an assignment in our program at the end of the year that was to make a complete children's illustration book, and theirs turned out amazing. So everyone works at different rhythms, and there's a lot of skill involved in at any point. I don't have the patience a lot of time to stick to one piece for a long time. So often, when I stop working on a project, it'll take me a while to get back into it, and that's a problem that I have, and I'm working to get better at it. It's not working on art unless you make little laser sounds, well, eliminating the things you don't want. One thing I also want to do on here is do more Pokemon art. Last time I tried to draw a Pokemon, it turns out no one in the chat really knew Pokemon, so we ended up doing a Warrior Cats stream. Just an awful doodle dumb disaster. It was great. No, Twitter at the start of the month was doing Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Day, so everyone started posting a bunch of art, and everyone changed their icons to different Mystery Dungeon icons for the day. I picked Totodile because that was my mon. That was my main for like years. If you're Cyndaquil or Riolu, don't talk to me. No more horoscopes. You judge people by who they got on the Pokemon quiz instead. Without cheating. I guess the ultimate one would have to be either, I forget if DX included the new starters. I forget if they did that or they just didn't include them in the remake. I I played the demo when it came out, but I haven't bought it yet. Pokemon Horoscope, yeah, that could work. And it's also, like, it's already a personality test. So you get a little horoscope when you get that at the end. I got completely roasted by the last one I did because, shoot, a while ago I restarted Pokemon Explorers of Darkness, and I got Turtwig, and I forget what it said about me, but it had me shook. I think in DX, if you get, not Totodile, Cubone, if you get Cubone, it's the lonely Pokemon, and it calls you depressed. Yeah, PMD it can be pretty mean, but it's worth it for the tears. Hi, Space Dragon. That's weird. Wait a minute. I thought I banned swear words from the stream. I guess it didn't go through. I just noticed that. Okay. No, it's fine. Just don't do it again. It's all okay. It's just more that I thought I fixed it. I'll have to look into it. Now, if you notice, Lemon Drop. If you notice, I haven't sworn like once in it. You've talked with me. You can say heck. You can say hell. You can say damn. Just. I had to be a high school teacher with this, but. I don't care a lot about what you say. Right now, it's just mostly holding myself into account. So I'm not gonna be saying anything. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Lemon Drop. You've heard me yell about animal crackers. You know I've got some swears in me. What am I drawing? Well, I'm almost at the end of clearing this, so we're gonna see in a sec. Magiform, my webcomic, it just reached 1 million views on Webtoon, so I'm just drawing all the cats together, and Endo, he's there also. I'm just drawing all of them together, and they're there for the celebration. When we're gonna zoom out, it's gonna be more obvious what they're doing. Okay, it's all clear. You have the whole premise of that movie? Did you mean to say hate? Because I think the premise is fine. See? They're all there, and they're on top of the 1 million cake. Probably gonna repost that if I ever get 1 million followers on Webtoon, but that's gonna be out in a while. It's on my last stream as well. Oh, thanks. I'm glad you had a good time. Hopefully you like me gushing about Academia for an hour straight. The Acadian in me's just gotta come out sometimes, though. You can take the Acadian to Toronto, but you can't take the Acadian out of the Acadian. I forget exactly how this saying goes. Yeah, woo, 1 million views. Let me shake the screen. I'm not sure if I'm doing a background here, but I like to have something that's not white in case, just so I don't miss any of the lines. A lot of these characters have colors that are close to white in their color schemes, so I just want to make sure they're filled right. Just gonna make that a little bit of a gray, and we'll fix that later. Just gonna set the line art later, multiply. It was a 3-hour stream and you watched... Okay, then I don't know which stream you're referring to. I can check. I've got Twitch open in the other tab. Well, thanks for sticking through the entire thing. Let's see, the 3-hour one. Is it the Warrior Cats one? Is it the one where it ends with a deluge of stupid Warrior Cats drawings? Okay, I see my cursor is right on the Twitch chat window. I'm not pointing to that. I'm actually on. I'm actually looking at my list of streams. It was 2+ hours when it ended. Yeah, I can't help you there. I see my computer is low on battery though, so you'll excuse me while I go and charge that. You sat your boss and coworkers down for 2 hours last night explaining the Warrior Cat series. Oh boy. Yeah, honestly, doing a lecture on the series as a whole would be it would be so fun because it gets so wild. Pun not intended. Now that was, when I was in 8th grade, that was my soap opera. You'd open the book and you'd get relationship drama and murder and vague spiritual themes. Hi, Fringe Shade. Now, Tempacross is behind everything. I said that so ominously. He's behind everything. No, he's behind everything in this picture. He's behind the cake, which I am going to use as a background at one point. Like, I'm going to have the cake on another layer than Missy, Lolo, and Zigzag. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Tempacross and maybe Endo. Then I'm going to have the cake. Then I'm going to have the cats in front. Okay. He's not a deep purple, but he's mostly a bluish purple, or at least in the middle. That seems about right. First, I saw StarClan as a sort of open to interpretation, or whether or not they're real, and by the 3rd series, they're overpowered gods. And I'm like, what the actual heck? And see, I thought that they made it pretty clear that StarClan is real in the 1st series, because Firestar dies and comes back. It's made very explicitly clear that that's what happened. So that's why I was always a little bit confused by atheist cats. Or at least they were really interesting in this series because, like, this is not a world that was open for speculation. StarClan is actually real in the world, and there are reasons to believe that it exists. And Cloudtail, it's a little bit more okay because, you know, he's just a warrior. He's not like a medicine cat or anything. But you know who is a medicine cat? Mothwing. And I know Mothwing has her whole deal of, like, she doesn't believe or anything. Just, I don't know. Like, I guess Mothwing has a reason for not believing either. It's just, I don't know. It's interesting to be in a series where you have concrete proof of the afterlife, but then the authors decide that they're changing everything about that afterlife throughout the series, and then you still got cats who just don't care. Well, yeah, Tiger Star got hecked up by Scourge, yes. And I guess this is a Warrior Cat spoiler podcast now. Actually, though, okay, so Lemon Drop, I have a proposition for you. If you're up to reading a bajillion books. I've been binging a bunch of Animorphs podcasts, because apparently that's a genre now. There are so many podcasts that's just about people reading Animorphs one at a time. Do you want to do that with Warriors? You know, when we have time and we actually have mics. Or potentially also make another Animorphs podcast, because they're a lot shorter to read. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But okay, so Tiger Star got messed up by Scourge, because Scourge killed him so hard that he died 9 times in a row. And the explanation for that is like it's too it's like 2 straight excruciating minutes of a cat like laying motionless, then breathing a little, choking on his own blood, and then just dying over and over. But like the way it's described, or the justification for it, is that some wounds are so big that even Star Clan can't heal. And I kind of understand why they did that, because, you know, when Firestar gets crowned Firestar, you've got to have at least a little bit of suspense there, like, oh, Firestar could actually die right there. And, you know, you also got a lot of other stakes going on, because a bunch of characters that you love are other clan cats that do not have 9 lives. But yeah, basically, it's to establish Scourge as a threat. But I can't help but think back to another death in the series, and I'm like, yeah, if he was a leader, he would be dead. And that's when, like... Okay, so in Book 2, when they're coming back from Wind Clan, don't they get attacked by... I forget who attacks them, but one of the warriors from that clan falls down a hill or something, hits a rock, and gets decapitated. Like, I don't know how to respond to that. I hope it actually happened, because that's a memory I have. It's got to have happened at some point. Oh, that wasn't... There was definitely a book where something like that happened. And I can't even pull out the books to try and debate that, because everything in my apartment is packed. It's also possible that I misread it, so I won't back down quite yet, but I will say that it's possible. There were a lot of books that I misread a little bit. Most of which Wicked. If you're under 18, do not read it. I'm sorry, Chaos Dreamer. I haven't kept up with Warrior Cats in the past couple of years. Oh shoot! I just realized I'm in RGB. At least I haven't been coloring much. Okay, so we're just going to put a bit of a darker background here. Just so I know every line is in its place. Also, if you're under 18, don't read or watch American Gods. I can't. I can go off your descriptions of that series, but so that's fine and that's fine. Okay, so the two colors that I've put down are fine, and the line art I do the line art in RGB because if I do the threshold tool and then I put it on multiply, it doesn't like me. But I could remedy that problem by actually copy pasting the line art. I could just do that, but I guess I don't. Sometimes I have epiphanies and I just don't act on them. But no, just Wicked is you can watch the musical. The musical, I really like the musical for Wicked. But the book is just kind of gross, really. There's not one moment where the author is like, oh, I can just let this scene happen and have it be happy. No, he has to ruin it. And what makes it funnier is that I'm pretty sure I must have blocked a whole bunch of things from my memory about this book, because when I tried to reread it later, I was like, oh no, I definitely did not remember that. Okay, but what about the scene in Omen of the Stars where Dovewing does, like, a backflip and falls on her face? Please tell me that happened. It may not be in Fire and Ice, it's just, I don't know, that's one of the deaths that I really remember, so I don't know where that came from if, uh, if that didn't happen. I didn't read a lot of fan fiction for Warriors either. Stop reading because how bad the relationships got. I do agree that there's a lot of melodrama in Warrior Cats, but I would argue that, like, part of it being dumb melodrama is what adds some charm to it, because it is a soap opera. It's a soap opera with the cats. Uh, I don't. Uh, I don't really ship a lot of characters, and usually if a story doesn't have any romantic elements, I'll be fine with it. That's not something I look for in a story usually. Yeah, usually it's just not something I care about. His muzzle is, like, a bit darker than his mane, so... There we go. Well, I forgot about one exciting thing that happened today. I went out for groceries, and when I came back, I checked my mailbox, and I got my copy of Wayward Kindred. It's a comic anthology about uh, family life with monsters. I haven't actually read it yet, but I backed it on Kickstarter, and it finally came in the mail. But yeah, it's an anthology. It's an anthology comic book. So there's a bunch of different stories from different authors, and I remember when people were submitting it. It's made by Toronto Comics. And if any of you know Godslave from Hiveworks, Megan Carter, the woman who makes that, she's in it. She's got a short story in it. Yeah, me and Lemon Drop, we actually went to art school, and Megan Carter was one of our teachers. She taught us cartooning. That was a fun class. Hi, friend Shade. Okay, so the thing with Tempacross is that his mane takes me a long time to color because I made the mistake of thinking, oh, wow, he's not in a lot of scenes. I can handle having a lot of details on him. So, without the shading, he's got 3 different colors, 3 different layers on his mane. What am I doing now with the character's face? I'm not sure what you mean. I think I want to add a little detail to the ears. Transfer brush. Here we go. Just something small, not too noticeable. Eventually I have to do the gemstone, but I'll have to get mentally prepared. Check out that contiguous, and guess I'll have to make another layer for the mane. You ever get that feeling of when it's just about to rain? Let's see. Oh yeah, it's coming. Oh. I mean, of course you can't see it, but I'm just opening the curtains now with the clouds. Oh, that's coming close. You might get a thunderstorm on stream. Okay, so let's just take the color of the mane and we'll set that to multiply, see if that gives us good results. I don't like that a lot. Let's make it a little bit darker and bluer than... Okay, now it's a bit too dark. With the art layer, and what I did was select all of Tempacross's mane because I know that's a very detailed part, and I would rather not have to erase everything that goes over it. So I just selected all of his mane. I made another layer, and I put on a mask on it, and that just... Let me show you. That just means that now that it's not selected, since there's a mask on it, I can just go like this, and it won't go over. I'm coming around to this color. I may just lower the opacity. It's my Lord and Savior lowering opacity. Oh, I guess it counted his muzzle as the same color too. That happens sometimes. I'm just gonna remove that if I can. And I'm taking this off the mask layer, so this just means that once I start working on it again, It won't go on the border, but, you know, it's still over here. I forget where I learned this. I actually didn't start out doing this with all the shadows in Magiform, but now I do that, and it's so much faster. A bunch of my art tips are honestly just work smart, not hard. Because if you can get the same results faster and you don't have to wear yourself out doing it, do that. If you can do more pages, do that. There's a lot of comic pages in you. If you want to ever hope to take out all of them, you gotta ensure that you can. You know, take care of yourself. I don't know if that answered your question. But yeah, so Magiform. Chapter 4 is actually almost done. Come October, it should be. So I guess I'll have to figure out what I'm doing between the chapters. Okay, I like that. So I'll just have another layer. This time I'm selecting all the shadows, but instead of selecting all the shadows that are here, it's not selecting the mask with it. So you'll see it can go overboard here. It can be easily remedied if I just go back there, inverse it. So now everything that's outside of it, can't do that. You're banned. Goodbye. Just gonna erase that. Now I'm just adding more details within the shadows. I forgot to set this layer multiply. After this is done, I'm also going to have shadows, like actual shadows on it. So I'm just adding texture to Tempergross's mane. But technically those aren't shadows. Or maybe he's just the only character that has 4 layers of it for some reason. He's a higher being. Hi, Chaos Dreamer. Good luck with your classes. Oh, that's a smudge tool. I don't like that. I don't use that. I fear it. So now he's got his big floofy mane. I'm gonna do the shadows once everything else is colored. So for now I'm gonna have to do his gemstone. That's also a complicated part of this friggin' giant space cat. He didn't used to be that big. He's a chunker now, though. Okay. Still is more of a purple red. Yeah, that's a good base color. Now the tricky thing about that gemstone is that sometimes I kind of cut corners around it, because each facet of the gem actually has its own set color, whatever the lighting is. That makes it easier for me because I can just do the same thing every time. It's not necessarily the best way to go about it, though. I forgot to name all my layers. Okay, so now I have an idea of what that is. How is there not enough red? I'm using all the magenta I can. When I finally have to print this, I'll have to thank myself, because it'll be a lot easier to deal with the CMYK colors than coloring it in RGB. RGB's fine, but the colors kind of get messed up with the color picker. I haven't really had much experience with the actual RGB sliders. I just always use CMYK. Or HSB or whatever that is. I don't know. It's a beast I've yet to tame. It just comes down to this color then. The hardest part is the middle, but that's when you have to zoom in. And everything turns out okay. Isn't that isn't that a summary of life? I don't ever know what I'm talking about. Now you guys get to witness that. But yeah, I made it to Twitch affiliate a couple days ago. That's pretty neat. I set up some emotes. I'm not entirely sure what they entail, but it's fun. I uploaded that one face of Lolo screaming. Maybe if I reduce my brush size, I would have an easier time. Wow, look at that. Work smarter, not harder. Now, remember last stream where I messed with the gemstone. It turned out weird, so, or at least I had a hard time with it. So we're gonna have another go at the, oh no. Whatever, this one's fine. This is fine. Now I know that the candles are gonna cast some kind of light, so I'm gonna try to emphasize that. It's a very reflective gemstone. Oh no. Maybe if I started with the shading? I don't necessarily like that a lot, but it'll do. Maybe if it was blue instead. Get to play with the purple. I know it's dead quiet in the stream, but in my head I've got the theme song for Digimon Frontier that's been on loop for like a day. This looks like a pretty dull stone. I mean, it's a texture, but it's not the one I wanted. this looks better on the stream window than it looks on my monitor. Maybe if I add more yellow. Set that to overlay and pray. This kind of looks like it's glowing. Just got your rain. I think you guys get it before I do. Oh boy. Yeah, okay. Oh, those clouds are not looking good. Doesn't look like it's rain here yet, but it's gonna start any second. And those are big. Almost looks like a funnel cloud. That could be dangerous. I'm just gonna hope that's not what that is. No, because it almost looks like it's spiraling. I don't think we've had a tornado warning here. Also, possibly I'm not a meteorologist. So, there may be a slight chance that I have no idea what I'm talking about. It definitely doesn't look good, though. It almost looks green. Just gonna take a picture of that for later. Hi, call me Steve. You didn't miss much. I'm struggling with Tempacross's gemstone, and right now I'm away from the computer. And I'm looking at a threatening cloud. That is probably not a tornado, but it's not stopping me from worrying. Because there's some parts that are straight up green in this. Okay, I have enough. Stream intermission over. Sing the rain go away song? Well, not yet. Got to close the curtains. Yep. Okay, there's something in the distance. There are many weird things going on outside, oh my god. Okay, no, this this storm does not bode well. I'm just gonna close my curtains again because the light gets in my eye whenever I'm drawing on the computer. I'm just gonna hope it's all gonna be fine. This has become God, what if we started an ARG right there? That was my ultimate plan. fake a stream. I didn't make Magiform to make Magiform. I did it to have a stream where we could uncover a Night Vale-esque mystery. A stream that has 6 viewers. Okay, so this... I still feel like the purple is... It's not good enough. I'm sure when I add highlights it'll look better. Let's color pick that. Add a lot more blue to it. What did I do? Welcome back, Friendshade. I'll see what I can do with this once I play with the colors and layer adjustments enough. It's really a dull stone Tempercross's head. It looks fine from here. I guess he just needs to give it a polish. And Tepicrose continues to be the bane of my existence for like an hour. Did I ever upload my last stream to YouTube? I haven't uploaded my streams to YouTube yet. There are some things about my current YouTube account username that I need to change. I am aware that all the streams are going to disappear after 14 days, so I'm looking into it sooner than later. But no, that stream isn't on YouTube yet. Oh, I hear the rain. It's here. Okay, not yet. Maybe it's behind me. Why is it looking so green though? In the eye of a hurricane, there is quiet. For just a moment. And thus continues my saga of not knowing what overlay does. Man, let's not make it that brush. Let's make it Let's use a hard edge for this. What's that layer there? Okay, I've solved it. Adding highlights is probably what I need next then. What did I do last time? Okay, one of these days I've got to do a gem study. This is the last straw. I'm tired of struggling every time I have to do this. I'm adding layers like it's no one's business. Just lower the opacity on that bad boy. Okay. I'm not touching that anymore. Back from your 10-minute workout. Good for you, Lemon Drop. Did you miss the entire tangent about the clouds outside? Aw, couples workout. Okay, so inverse select. Time to get rid of everything that's sticking out from those layers. Okay. Oops. Okay, so the gemstone is finished. And it is inexplicably going to be the most textured thing in this entire drawing. Oh no, look at all those layers. Okay, well. Let's keep that on. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's thunder. I have no idea. Oh boy, okay, yeah, there it is. Lemon Drop, we got your rain. What layer was I selecting? Oh no. Okay, good coincidence. So now I'm gonna start a folder for all the gem layers. I'm just going to banish all of them inside of it. That's so many of them. And bam, collapse. Goodbye. Can you imagine if I'd gone through all of that and not changed to CMYK yet? I just said that Endo was probably going to be in the same layer as Temperature, so let's do that now. It's mostly a neutral gray. I don't know what it is that, like, about that feeling of, like, when you know it's about to rain. I don't know what causes it, like, scientifically. I'd love to learn what that is. Is it, like, pressure? Do we feel that, or what? He's doing a little blip, and I appreciate him for that. Can you hear that on the stream, or are you hearing that from your place? Because I have no idea if it's picking up on the stream or not. I know it picks up a bunch of static. The only way it picks up my voice all right is if I also include all the static, so I don't know what else is picked up. I don't go over all the streams. There's one where the phone rang during it, and I'm not sure how well you could hear the phone during it. It's thundering here too. I haven't seen lightning yet, but it's daylight and my curtains are closed. It's at a bit of a disadvantage. Oh, you know what this is? That must be the storm from BC yesterday. So apparently there was a big storm. Stinky boy. I've seen a lot of people think he's a raccoon. And I've stated this before, Endo's Endo. He's not really based off any animal, he's just what he is. You know what would be fun? There's this one doodle from high school that I've gone through that explanation before. The original Endo had a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde thing going on. So it's just an image of that concept. And I could redraw that. I can't color the frosting globule he's got. I don't know what color the cake is yet. We're just gonna do that later. Oh, maybe it's whipped cream. But no, his chest is white. I'd rather not. Well, it's gonna be some kind of pink. Coral, probably. He's a little trash man. He's not even eating a piece of cake, he's eating a bit of the frosting. I mean, when you got a cake that big, though. Okay, Endo's done. No, he's not. Hold on, I forgot his horn. I said that's the one big difference that I had in his design other than color scheme. It's the horn. He used to have a bigger one as the evil self, which is this. It's now it's just like that's the only appearance he has as a character. Like there's no Jekyll and Hyde thing going on. That's just what he looks like. Let me just color pick that frosting, because I'm going to use that. And I'm going to put the cake above everything else. You know, like I do with my diet. Put cake above everything else. Cake is fine. I like pie better. I've had an ice cream cake in my fridge, in my freezer for the longest time, and I'm kind of scared of finishing it. Because it was for my birthday, but it was for my birthday last year. But it's ice cream though, right? Okay, cake. If anyone makes any jokes in the chat about that cake trend. Okay, so do I make the cake pink or just... Oh, this can be like strawberry coulis or something like that, so... I'm not fancy because I use the word coulis and... My mom's a better cook than I am, by far. Heard her use the word. Also, we speak French, so it's just a regular word to describe it. And my mom likes a lot of cooking shows too. I almost colored Pentacarosa's tail. That's a little detail that I'll have to fix. Okay, I guess I only colored one level of the cake. Let's try to do the rest of it this time. I do really like storms, though. They're nice. The lemon drop on the topic of the ice cream cake says, no, throw it out. But it's a cheesecake cake. It's cheesecake ice cream. You know, it's frozen. Nothing goes bad when it's frozen. Like, you know, if you bake a cookie, it's not, the cookies aren't gonna go bad because it's sugar. It's very not true. I didn't do a cake this year. Not just because of everything going on. It's just I don't like cake that much. I only like ice cream cake. I guess I kind of like carrot cake when it's got the right frosting, though. And it's kind of hard to do that. The whipped cream can be a little pink. You know, it's weird that people are starting to call me Puns or Hello. It's my first experience of someone calling me by my username. I joined a Discord server recently, and like they're the first ones who kind of did that. And I was like, oh, my name is Hello. That's good. I like that. I guess that's how internet friendships work sometimes. Your username is your name. Stick to it. There's no whipped cream on the top, so... See, that's whipped cream on the bottom, so if I make it the same color as this, and this is randomly another texture, it's gonna be weird. The blood red strawberry coulis. Do I prefer Hello or Puns? I think Hello's cuter, but Puns is clearer. Because a problem we had with... Okay, so... In a group chat the other day, we watched a movie, and on the platform where we watched the movie, we had to join a room, and we were all assigned, like, random gibberish nicknames, so just a bunch of letters and numbers. So it was hard to know who was who, and every time someone was like, hello, I was like, yes, and and it got really confusing fast. We had a good time, though. It's good to hear right now. It's nice. Okay, I do kind of want to eat that cake now. The thing with drawing a fake cake is that you can imagine it being the perfect cake. Oh, okay, yeah. Oh no. Oh no. I just went grocery shopping. I don't have the money to get that. Did I see the Boggy video by Saberspark? I had it in the background at one point. Yeah, I guess I saw it. I also saw the movie like a while back. I've seen it, but I don't remember a lot of it. Yeah, Tezuka, the mad lad. Don't eat the cake. It most likely has freezer burn. Are we still on that? What's the delay on the stream? Thing is, like, that cake is really old. It's not as old. It's, well, might as well be. It's got like a 2 months difference. Don't eat that cake. You can't stop me. I'm not guaranteeing I will though. It's got those little It's got those little cheesecake cubes that you can put on ice cream. Honestly, I think I just want to order a box of those from whatever factory it is. Okay, you know what the problem is with this cake that I'm drawing? In my head, I'm imagining it tastes like pie. Like, I just realized it. Because it's mostly sour, with the little coulis there, and, you know, a bit of frosting for flavor, a little bit of whipped cream. But the inside, I realized that I'm imagining it like, tasting like pie crust, which would be horrible in a cake. I may add some texture, but I don't want to flash back to Tempacross's gemstone. If I have to do that, might as well color the cake first. Just the cake part. Let's make it a bit more brown. It's like a vanilla. Is this the meme of the stream though? The cake in the freezer? I mean, I did buy chocolate at the grocery store today though, so like I'm good on sweets. Let's add. Not sure if this makes it more appetizing or not. Kind of looks like mold. Let's reel it back in a bit. Oh, I know. Not only is not only is it a stupidly complex 3-tier cake with raspberry coulis and whipped cream at the bottom, it's also friggin' funfetti. I'll do the candles later. This one may have to be on a different layer. Because it's in front of Misty. Maybe not. Okay, let's just select this then. Gonna call it glaze. Set that to multiply since it's worked so well. Not here apparently. Okay. Let's see, let's put more red in there, but... More blue then. Less black. What am I doing wrong? Okay, what do I want in my head? I just want dark red. This will work. Let's be lazy about it. These kitties better not eat the entire cake. You gotta get a tummy ache. I think here the messier it is, the better it works. Let's not airbrush that. That can work. Let's make it a little less big though. Hold on, where'd the sensitivity go? Another thing I do have in my freezer though is a bunch of burgers. Took it out of the freezer because I had a bunch of ground beef, and so I made a bunch of burger patties, and I'm set for a while. I guess I have to eat a bunch of burgers before it goes bad. Woe is me. One thing I'm doing right now that I maybe should not be doing is sculpting out a bunch of it before lowering the opacity, because I'm going to end up doing that. Sometimes you should probably wait before making all these changes. Just get an idea of what it is actually gonna look like. Not get disappointed. Damn it! Now you want burgers? Well, I'm sorry, Lemon Drop. I would give you a burger if I could, because I've got like 20 patties in my fridge. Not fridge, freezer. Fridge implies that I'm going to eat all of them within a couple days. I bought a bunch of veggies today. I'm not just gonna eat burgers. How many times can I say burgers during the stream? A lot. Okay, and I'm thinking another multiply layer should do the trick. That's my catchphrase. It's always multiply or overlay. This time, I just chew. Somewhat kind of brown. Oh, there we go. That's the color I want. Maybe I should add a little red. Or just actual red. Start the counter? Honestly, I would if I knew how to do that. Okay, it's looking nice. Just gonna leave some areas for like some highlights and stuff, or some midpoints between the light and the shadow. Shadow. The longest time, every time I would name all my layers and get to the shadow one, I just call it the shadows after that one really bad Dungeons and Dragon based movie that's actually based on one of the chick tracks. If you don't know what chick tracks are, but consider yourself lucky. They're a Christian propaganda, fear mongering, and it's just a bunch of hateful contents. You're not allowed to sell them in Canada. That's how bad and harmful they are. But they're also deeply stupid because the author didn't understand anything he was criticizing. So there's this movie based off one of the tracks that's criticizing Dungeons and Dragons, and if I'm not mistaken, it was during the Satanic Panic when everyone was super worried about, oh no, the children are playing Dungeons and Dragons, they're gonna get corrupted, and meanwhile they're just like, yeah, we're gonna fight the dragon today, that's gonna be fun, and just... Anyway, there was a movie based off the comic strip that was made criticizing Dungeons and Dragons, and it's just overly dramatic and possibly a parody of the strip itself. Yeah, JonTron made a video. That's how I learned about it. I do not keep up with JonTron anymore, but yeah, I do know of the movie. I do own a couple chip tracks, but I didn't buy any of them. I just find them, and I keep them because I know they're illegal to sell in Canada. I'm like, oh, that means it's rare. My dumb monkey brain is like, oh, I get to keep that. Alright, I think I'm just gonna maybe add some highlights then. Yeah, no more overlay. I'm just going to make this a regular white layer, and I'm going to lower the opacity when I'm done. When I'm done. I know it's not the right lyrics. I haven't seen Pitch Perfect in forever, but honestly, the songs, I still really like the songs. Yeah, Lemon Drop, I know which teacher you're talking about. I think I think that's partly why I try to keep them whenever I come across them. I guess I could ask him if he's got any of the ones that I got, because I'd rather it go to the bigger collection if he doesn't. This does not look great. Overlay. Okay, that looks better. Okay, I'm sorry to have forsaken overlay. Clearly, this was a misstep on my part. I've got another song in my head now. I'm gonna spare you. I mean, if any of you know 1755, I think it's 1755 that did it. It's Le Monde a bien changé, and I'm sorry to have gotten it in your head again. Seems every layer has something that's like ridiculously textured on it. Tempercuros has his gemstone, the cake has the coulis. You know, if it is coulis, I should probably add some seeds, right? It's raspberry. Well, not on the overlay layer though. Just little dots. Okay, next time I'm streaming, I'm not doing anything about food because this is making me hungry. Not necessarily the way it looks, just like constantly thinking about what cake should look like. You know, it inevitably conjures up pictures of cake in your head. Because that's what you're trying to do. This is not a seeds pattern, but I don't care. Someone blended the seeds too hard and they're just not seeds anymore. I always try to plan for an extra page in case I finish the initial one. And you know, it's a good habit, but I never do. I get too involved with whatever I'm trying to do. Just need to add some highlights then. Alright. One thing that I learned from a teacher about painting is that usually you start with your darkest dark and your lightest light in your painting. And I get that digital painting is a different beast, but somehow every time I do something other than that, it feels a little blasphemous. Honestly, if we're talking about just comic collections, I need to talk to him about Acadie-Man. I need to do more research, do like a full presentation on it, but like I need him to know about him. This is your friendly storm protection reminder to not eat that year-old cake and to enjoy some burgers. Thank you. Just gonna put a bunch of white here just to emphasize. Hmm. Another important thing when making a comic or illustrations is sometimes, if things aren't working out, you can just tell yourself that it's time to stop. I'm not stopping the stream, I'm just talking about the raspberry stuff. Yes, breaks are important. I took a bit of one when I went to look outside. What I'm talking about here is just sometimes less is more. Let me pull back some of these. One thing I like doing is, well, you're not seeing me do it, is I'll do pen stretches. I actually haven't done one of them in a while, so. It's just 3 separate hand stretches, and I hold them for 8 seconds each. And sometimes it doesn't really feel like it's helping in the moment, but on days where I do it versus days where I don't, the next day, that's when I feel the difference. One thing that can also help is just standing up and stretching there. Okay, I think I'm done messing with that part of the frosting. Let's make that a folder. Time to save. Everything from there on should be fine. I just need to do the shading and the rest of the characters, and I know how to color them. The one thing that may make it get a bit complicated is the fire, but, like, I've done fire before. Okay. Do I do the candles first, or do I do the characters first, then? Characters, I deserve a break. Usually I save the characters for dessert, but they're standing on top of a dessert, so... Lolo's he's a pale blue. You just realize what Missy's doing. Yeah, she's knocking a candle off, because she's the cat that knocks things off. Lolo's a bit offended at what she's doing. It's like, we're supposed to be on our best behavior. Here, on the giant cake. How did they make it to this level anyway? Are there little paw tracks on the other side of the cake? Or did Tempacros just drop them there? Those are questions that I didn't ask when making this, but I'm gonna pretend as if I plan to do a bit. Missy and Lolo have the same color collar, so I just color pick that. I think tonight I'm just gonna binge. Oh, I can't binge one show. I was gonna say I was gonna binge Oh Hello. You can't binge Oh Hello, you just watch it. It's like 1 to 2 hours long, I forget. Hopefully it's still on Netflix. I don't see why it wouldn't be. As some of you might have been able to tell from my many John Mulaney references in Magiform page descriptions, I do like John Mulaney a lot, and he's in Oh Hello, though he plays a character that's a lot meaner in Oh Hello, so it's a show that's also very crass, but I can't stop quoting it. Because John Mulaney just has that talent of coming up with things that roll off the tongue. I use the same color for their tongues as for their paw pads. One color tip that has stayed with me forever, and I've heard it like so long ago, was back when I wanted to do a Nuzlocke comic. Now, technically, I haven't completely given up on that, but it is not a priority right now. So, a Nuzlocke, for those who don't know, is when you play Pokemon, and you play with a certain set of self-imposed rules. So you play as if once a Pokemon faints, it's dead. You can't use it anymore. And some play it with the rule that you have to release that Pokemon just to ensure that you don't use it. Some play it with an added clause that, like, oh, you can keep it in a box that's dedicated to those that are dead, quote unquote. So you play with that rule, and there's also the other rule of you can only catch one Pokemon per area, and it's the first one you see. Again, there are some different set of rules that you can play around with that. Mostly, I'm not, like, whatever. Whenever I do a Nuzlocke, I just aim to have fun, so I play with the rules that fit me. But Nuzlocke started out as a little comic, so Nuzlocke runs are just named after the username of the person who did the comic for that run. And it took off. There are so many variations of Nuzlockes and just Nuzlocke playthroughs on there. And it can get very emotional because if you care a lot about a Pokemon and then it dies, you're like, oh no, you were supposed to carry us through the entire gym, and you get really invested in it. There's also the added rule that you must nickname all your Pokemon, so it automatically becomes personal. So there's a lot of good stories in there because so many people have had different experiences with the game. The added rule that you can only catch the first Pokemon on the route also adds to, like, you're using a Pokemon that you wouldn't have used before, but then you find out, oh, it's actually useful and I'm having fun with this, and this is an entirely new experience. One time, I found a shiny Hoppip in my X game, and it was right after my starter died. So, that shiny Hoppip, I protected with my life. But it also made it through the entire game as a Jumpluff, and it beat the league. Like, that shiny carried us through the entire thing. So that was, like, a super fun experience that I got super invested into, and I don't think I would have gotten... I wouldn't have gotten that invested if I hadn't played it that way. But anyway, long tangent to come to that. Yeah, come back to the thing I was talking about. So, since there was so much story potential with Nuzlocke, there's a genre of Pokemon comics, like unofficial Pokemon comics, of course, that are Nuzlocke comics. So it's just going to be artists that are illustrating their Nuzlocke stories, and just that's the entire comic. There are many good ones out there. And there's a lot of them. And one of them, at one point, did a coloring tutorial. Because at that point, they'd had 2 Nuzlocke comics under their belt. And for some reason, one line from the tutorial sticks with me. And it's, if you can get away with reusing a certain color, do it. So it was just showing, like, you see the jacket of the trainer is actually the same color as the Squirtle's shell. That's just, it helps to tie the image together. And it helps saving on time picking colors. So that's something I do. That was a long-winded way of saying that. Have I seen the Jane animations, Nuzlocke animation? Yes, I've seen that. One of the biggest Nuzlocke comics, like, I'd say the big one, is Kylie Nim's Black Nuzlocke. It has ended, but I haven't caught up to it yet. I followed it when it was pretty far along. Like, they were at the league by the time I stopped. But still, I haven't finished it. There's a really nice watercolor one that uses the colors really well. And I think it's called It's a Hard Life or something like that. It gets very violent. Like, if you guys are going to read Nuzlocke comics, prepare yourself. Some of them get very violent because in their nature, there's a lot of death. Well, that was good. Just as a storytelling concept for Nuzlocke specifically, though, is that since you're making it a story, now you have to explain, like, if you're making a story and you lose a bunch of Pokemon on your run, you have to explain why your trainer character, A, keeps going with the guilt of, like, 1,000 Pokemon on their back, or also why the society they're in would allow them to keep being a trainer if so much death has been happening. So it's fun to see everyone's different interpretations of that. Whenever I'm doing a Nuzlocke, I'm not necessarily planning a comic in my head, but I'm definitely thinking of the different stories for it. Like the X one with the shiny Jumpluff, I always imagined that in my head as a mystery dungeon run. There's one I did in Yellow that was full on, like, a Victorian society run only by Pokemon, and just there was like mad scientist stuff in it, and I went way too hard on that. Like, I have a huge folder dedicated to only, like, Nuzlocke pages in my, just, you know, because I do end up drawing a lot of anything, so a Nuzlocke folder isn't out of the ordinary. But, like, half of it is only for that Nuzlocke. That one I kind of get a bit salty that I never ended up doing it. Because I put a lot of work in it. See anything in that? If I do end up streaming games, a Nuzlocke would be something I'd like to do. I've got some experience doing some. I've never done any in Gen 3, so I could do that. Welcome back, Chaos. We're almost done coloring the characters, so after that, it'll be having shadows in there, adding shadows in there, and some fire for the candles. After that, I think I'm going to be done. Maybe a bit of texturing work. But to get back to John Mulaney real quick, his Toronto shows have been delayed like 4 times over, and of course they're not happening right now. Because, you know, we're in 2020, and we all know what's happening. But yeah, I have a friend who's been trying to get tickets, well, who has tickets for that show, and has been trying to see John Mulaney. And it's been cancelled like 4 times in a row. Well, yeah, hopefully they get to see him soon. If I start playing games, though, that's the point where I would start investing in a mic. Because right now I'm streaming, and I'm just using the microphone on my headphones. And the only reason why I'm using that is because the microphone on my laptop is even worse. But right now I'm just doing stuff I would be doing anyway. I'm just streaming it. But if I were to do something deliberately to stream it, then I would start looking into options of how to make the streaming experience better. It's 2020, the year everything caught on fire. Man. Remember when it was 2016 and we thought that was the worst year ever? And then 2017 and we thought that was the worst year ever, and then 2018. And we need to stop saying that it's the worst year ever, because the next year is just waiting. It's just waiting in the wings. And it's gonna pounce as soon as it can. But no, a lot of really bad things have happened this year. Okay, and so now I'm gonna take the candles, line art, and I'm gonna make it white. In the comic, I make it yellow, but it's a bit of a mistake on my part. I realized later that white is, like, coloring the line work white is better, because there's more contrast with the fire. You can tell what the line art is. Really hoping next year to be a good one. It's look, all I'm saying is, bad things aren't depending on a year. It's not just because it's 2020 that everything's going wrong. We've got problems in the system, and there's just natural disasters going on that we can't really stop, and sometimes just plain incompetence. I think it's just that the one big silver lining is that we're seeing everything, like how everything is unfolding in a crisis. We're seeing things that we could change, and we're trying to figure out ways that we can change them. So maybe 2021 is the year where we start seeing some progress. Or heck, even this year. I'm selecting all the white, and I'm deleting all the line work underneath that. Alright, lemon drop. We'll be done here in a sec as well. Well, saying I jinxed 2021 being a good year is just that, like, of course there are factors that we can't stop. I guess what I'm saying is, yeah, of course a lot of bad things have been happening, but at least now we're kind of holding people more accountable. So I'm not saying that necessarily 2021 is going to be a better year. It's just that, like, we need to work at it if it's going to be. And we're starting to figure out how to do that. this part, it doesn't matter much if the flames go over the line art, because I'm gonna end up placing some gradients behind the flames anyway, so it's not gonna show as much. The look of chaos. Missy, Chaos Bringer. I think that's the last one. It is. Okay. So here's how I do fire. I make another layer and make sure it's only selected the parts of the orange, so if I go out of the flames, it won't follow. Transfer brush, and just do this. Possibly with another color later, but I'm liking the looks of just this right now. Just some simple flames. Okay, I guess it's the gradients and shading after that. The shading's gonna take a while though. So we're not quite done yet, but we're almost there. Or at least at the last step, I think. A lot of the detailing I do with the shadows. There. Let's do some gradients first though. How come no doggos in this one? The answer is I drew this morning, half an hour before starting the stream. Yeah, I knew I was leaving them out, but I don't know. I guess it's also because we haven't seen all the dogs yet. Specifically, Endo mentions twins 2 episodes ago, and only one dog has shown up, so it'd be weird to draw that one, but not the second one. Okay, I'm liking those gradients. Usually I lower the opacity a little bit, but those look fine. Okay, and now comes the step where I make a bunch of shadows on a bunch of different layers. Select inverse. And okay, so now we're just doing the shadows for Temper Crows and Endo. Warm purple for this. still haven't decided what to do with the background yet. I'm probably having it on white with just a little bit of a gradient emanating from everyone. Thing is, it's not super strong lighting that we're working with here, it's just some candles. I mean, I might set up the schedule to just be on Mondays. Because then I can just announce, yeah, the stream's going on right now. So, I don't know, I could just do that. It's convenient too. I try to clear that part of the schedule because you can't schedule episodes on Webtoon, so I have to be physically uploading it. Maybe next milestone the dogs can be in it. Seen Penelope and Rex and heard about the twins. Any more? Wouldn't you like to know? Well, okay, it's not much of a spoiler, so I'll say it now. No, there's no one more after this. There are other characters that pop up, but no more dogs on that team. Okay, we got the tough part over with. I say as I stare directly at the glaze. I don't know how that's gonna turn out. Just gonna pray. Take into account that he'd be so dark. So once we see the twins, then dogs will be in all future projects. Yeah, well, yeah, I guess. Here I mostly wanted to focus on the cats, but also Wendo's my favorite, so. We made it in. He's eating some in the corner. Okay, I think 38's about right, and I'm not gonna mess with the shading here. I may do something for the gem, though. Something light. Okay, now I'll try to move on to the cake. I'm not changing colors. This is the one. This is the one I want. Using the same color shading for everything. Shading is a bit complicated for me, but it's got to be one of my favorite parts, because that's when everything's starting to come together. Then in backgrounds, I guess. The cake can have a little detailing as a treat. Just adding some shadows for the candles. Okay, cake's about done, I'd say. No. Yeah, that works. That's fine. Okay, now it's finally time for the characters. I'm so eating a burger after this. Even if I didn't have to. I've been streaming for a while. And there's the couple. They're just chilling. I don't think Vanilla wanted to get her paws dirty with frosting. Pumpkin's being supportive. They're protesting the cake. Maybe they're just looking at all their children, all their adopted children. Purple always looks better on Vanilla because she's pale and her coat is basically just a little bit of yellow. So that's complementing each other really well. Okay, after that, I guess it's just the candles and changing the background. Let me save. getting a McDonald's right now. Just be careful out there. Be careful. Keep your distance from everyone. Candles are a little bit tricky because they got the flames right on top of them. But at least that kind of helps because you really know where the light source is. Okay, now let's take that background. Don't die. That seems to be the main message throughout all this. Don't die while seeking food. Don't eat. Don't eat that 1-year-old ice cream cake in the freezer. Be careful when going to McDonald's. Okay, so I want a gradient here. Not really orange. Let's use a yellow for here. I don't want it to be too yellow because then it might overpower the... I also want it to be... Like when I upload something on Webtoon, the background needs to be... if I want it to mesh well with the outside of the panels, the background needs to be white and then fade into another color. One thing I could do is just... I could add a floor. Just add a floor, and I wouldn't need to do a background. Then I'd have to do a cast shadow for everyone. Let's change that color. Need less of a yellow. Something more purple then. Okay, we're almost done. I was thinking maybe I could just make it the floor that they have whenever they're under the tree. That means stars, though. Now, this is going to be shrunk to hell and back when I'm actually posting this on Webtoon, so not even sure everyone's going to see the stars. Whatever. Let's get a smaller brush. Those will definitely not get seen, though. Okay. Looks like we're done. Well, thanks for hanging out, people. Just gonna leave that on the screen for a little bit. But yeah, this is for 1 million viewers on Webtoons. I'm just gonna update the episode right after I export it, and I'm just gonna post that everywhere else. So yeah, Patreon, Twitter, Instagram. You're getting the cake. Anyway, it was fun hanging out. Bye, everyone.